Corey, do you ever have to get flowers to bail you out of situations, baskets, balloons, take care of your loved one when you get in hot water?
Well, I try not to get in hot water anymore. When you get 50,
Yeah, I
they
know.
say you get smarter. The longer you live, the more knowledgeable you get.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
my times in hot water is very limited.
All right, let's be a proud father right now, Christian. I saw he, man, what awesome. You guys live in Columbia. You're 70 miles up to Charlotte. He's made the 53-man roster there with the Carolina Panthers. Just talk about what a thrill that is for you and your family.
Oh, absolute blessing. Barry to get drafted, first of all, right in the backyard. And as you said, just about an hour drive up to Charlotte. And it's been fun. I had a chance to go up to training camp a lot of days and watch him practice and compete. And so I spent a lot of time up there just kind of watching him really grow up, through the spring and over into the summer. And then now, as we get ready to go into the fall, to start the football season here on Sunday. I'm proud of him. He's worked extremely hard. And, of course, learning how the NFL works and getting out of the college system. And so, we spent time talking about that and how to, know how to manage your body and just different things like that. You're eating, and now that's on your own. You don't have folks in Alabama that, that takes care of you around the clock. You got to do the stuff yourself. But he comes into this league with a wealth of knowledge, and really because Alabama has run somewhat, like an NFL organization. So not really shocked, the scene that he's in right now. But no doubt, very, very proud of him and looking forward to see what the future holds.
Yep, that.
After saying all of that, what maybe was the biggest surprise going to NFL and trying to go through and hoping you're going to make, everybody's hoping. Some people a little worried, he probably wasn't. What was the biggest surprise for him?
I think the speed of the game, and I'm not saying, the point A to point B speed, but the speed of how things are processed and how fast calls are in and out and the game goes. It's a fast-paced, fast-tempo game. College seems to be a little bit dragging sometimes, and I know people go tempo, but it picks up. I mean, you have to process your information, know what you're doing, and play fast. And that's what he told me. He said he's really shocked, and everybody's big, fast, strong. I mean, it's the best of the best. I mean, you don't see even in college in the SEC, you're going to see some weeks, some downtown. That's just the way it is. But now, I mean, even the guys that's on that 90-man roster are pretty daggum good. That's the best of all the college football players. So now you whittle that down to 53. So you got the best of the best, and guys that's been around this league for a long time. So he talked about the speed. He had to adjust and adapt to how fast the game went, and knowing the information process, knowing what you're doing and reacting and not thinking so much. And that was the biggest adjustment for him. But after the first couple of weeks, he started to pick it up, and he got better, which I was glad about. Every week he got better, and he seemed more comfortable in the system.
Yeah, there is no New Mexico states on the schedule, is there, Corey? I know they open up the Rams, so you're basically equivalent of Alabama playing Georgia every weekend when you get to the NFL, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really no, listen, everybody's not, amazingly great, but I mean, you're still getting the best of the best. Well, I tell people all the time that, they'll call, guys in the NFL trash or something like, no, you don't understand. These guys are really good. I mean, it's like it's the best in the world. I mean, you're the best of the best. You cannot go any higher. So, and you really don't have, weeks that you get that like you said, the New Mexico State, the Charleston Southern, like South Carolina's playing this week. You don't get that reprieve. You got to bring your A game every single Sunday. Guys going to get after you. Your winning percentage in a play is not going to be great. It's kind of like baseball. If you hit 3 out of 10, man, you're a Hall of Famer, right? And so it's kind of like this. That's the way football is. You just got to, make and take advantage of those opportunities when you get them. And he did that. Had a couple sacks in the preseason, and really had some good rushes. Hits on the quarterback. We knew he could play the run, set the edge. Those are things he learned at Alabama. So he continued to do those things well. Very physical. Which and I talked to Greg Olson and even Pat DeMarco and Buffalo's in town, and guys talked about how physical he was. How he was great at the point of attack, and And that's all as a result from Alabama just learning how to play the game. And so he's done a great job.
Yeah, that.
I don't want to switch over to South Carolina, but since they're Alabama's opponent, not very long, are they going to be able to? And I hope Will does. But are they going to be able to get it together to give Alabama a decent game?
Great question. I don't know. I don't think so, honestly. From what I saw, and that's the only sample size that I have with South Carolina football, is just what we saw on Saturday against North Carolina, which was not pretty at all. I was very disappointed after all the offseason we heard about the most talent that Will Muschamp has been here, bigger, stronger, faster guys in the trenches. You know, these are things that fans have heard. And then you go up against North Carolina, a team that won 2 games last year, and you get knocked around. You get dominated in the trenches. That's not good. You know, quarterback play wasn't good. It just wasn't any good, really, to go around. The calls were questionable, conservative. So from what I saw on last Saturday, definitely you're going to get beat, 60-3 by Alabama, playing it better than what they played. Now, I expect them to get better. I expect them. I mean, I'm telling you, and Barry, you know that you lived here, and as limited of success that South Carolina has had as a football program, the fans are very passionate. And when they felt crazy optimistic about this season, despite how hard their schedule was, they were excited about this year. But what they saw on Saturday, man, they have went totally the opposite way, 180. People are even calling for Will Muschamp to be out of here, which I think is ludicrous. Jake Bentley's gone down with a foot injury. He's out, 6 to 8 right now, potentially the entire season. We'll know more about that here probably today or tomorrow. You got a true freshman that's going to start against Alabama, and Ryan Helinski from California, kid. Of course, his brother was a quarterback at Washington State, I believe, that passed away. I don't know. I just think right now this team looks to be in a little bit of trouble. As a former player and a player myself, I think, you fight, you bounce back, you get better. Could have been just the first game, just not playing. Who knows? But what I saw against North Carolina, if that team shows up against Alabama, there's no chance in Haiti.
Well, Corey, you say the fan base was energized, and JC, we had him on early in the week. He says that South Carolina fan doesn't like going to Charlotte. I was shocked at how empty that stadium was up there, because I always thought South Carolina, they went through Lou Holtz with Owen whatever and had 78,000 or something. What is the feeling of the South Carolina fan right now?
JC's right. I mean, they're upset. I'm telling you, people have jumped off the wagon. I mean, they are totally off the wagon. There's people having yard sales with Gamecock stuff in the yard. I mean, people upset. I mean, you would think, that this is something, Alabama, that, this fan base, I'm telling you, they're very passionate, and they've been longing for success. It does not help that, the folks up the interstate is having such great success with Clemson. I mean, that don't help. And so they want to see things change, Barry. They want to see success, and they want to, they want to see this team turned around. I mean, and you go up there and you lose to North Carolina. I mean, 2-10, and your last 2 appearances in Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte has been just awful. The bowl game, Belk Bowl against Virginia, you get shut out, embarrassed by an ACC school, 28-0, and you go lose to the bottom feeder of the ACC last year. New coach of Mac Brown, a true freshman quarterback. Everybody saying that North Carolina had no chance. So, their optimism was sky high, and then you go out there with that performance. Now, I know the staff. I know Will Muschamp. Those guys work hard. Those guys are competitive. He said they're peed off too in his press conference. But, I don't know. They've made some changes. We'll see what this freshman quarterback can do. Although I don't think we're going to get any kind of information based on playing Charleston Southern. I don't want to disrespect them, but let's just be real about it. You're not going to find anything out too much about that ball game. Then you got the Clemson Tide, who I know very well, and they on a mission. The Bama factors in place. They didn't play great at the beginning of the Duke game, but we saw what they could do. I just don't see any way possible that 2010 is going to happen again. The last time Alabama and South Carolina played. that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Corey, and this may not be a fair question. You may not even want to answer it. Dylan Moses went down. Josh McMillan went down. Terrell Lewis went down last year. Your son went down in a game. I know he didn't play the national championship game. Does Alabama need to look at maybe how they're training the line? It seems like that one position, guys having knees. Is it just a coincidence that this is happening in that position? Is there something maybe they need to step back? Because I know they don't want these guys getting hurt. Hey, how are we practicing? What are we doing in the weight room with the linebacker? Is there something there? Or is this just a coincidence?
I don't know. I just, it just makes it's kind of eerie, right?
Yeah.
That linebacker position is the last 3 years now, devastating injuries. I mean, but I don't think it's anything to do with training or I don't think that. I know Doc really well. I've been in there, watched those guys train. I don't see anything really that they're doing that's going to, knee injuries, just knee injuries. I mean, they're freakish things. I mean, sometimes they're non-contact. A lot of times it's nothing non-contact, just changing direction. And here's what I do think. I think these guys are so big and so fast and, and strong. And when they're running so fast and trying to stop and change directions, I think it really stresses ligaments. I do. Because they're so big, fast, and strong. And you see these non-contact injuries happen all the time now. I don't think they, because if there's anything that they felt like was causing that due to training, I promise you, Alabama will be the first team to be make extreme change. You know that, and Jeff and that medical staff, the best there is in the country. I mean, they do all their research and everything. So I think it's just a coincidence. It's unfortunate. Josh, kid, I've grown to know very well. Dylan, been around great kids, both of those guys. And for Josh, especially waited his turn to finally get in there and be a starter. He's been around, and then for that to happen, I felt so bad for him. And Dylan was going to be a top 15 pick, top 20 pick in the draft, but he has a red shirt year. Praise God, he can come back and redeem himself there. So, I do think they'll look at it. There's no doubt. I mean, because when this stuff happens, you have to, right? You got to take a look and see, what are we doing? Is there anything that may be stressing something? And I'm sure they would do that, but I just think it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly agree with it. It is coincidence. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I do think, however, after you forget that, the technique-wise and coaching-wise and trying to play against teams that you're a lot better than they are or they're as good as you are, I think he learned a lot playing for Coach Nick Saban, and I think he learned a lot playing for those position coaches at Alabama.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, despite the turnover, you're getting great football coaches at Alabama. I can just speak for my own son from what he's learned, how he grew the 5 years that he was there, just unbelievable. So, everybody's going to focus on that kind of stuff right now. But I think what you look at, though, Barry, is the fact that those two freshmen, I watched the game, man, they look really good. I mean, I couldn't tell if you wouldn't have told me those two inside backs were freshmen. I couldn't tell because they played extremely good. Now, I know it was Duke. I know people are going to say, oh, they should have played well against Duke. But, the good news with Alabama, you go back to recruiting and you go back to the teaching and getting guys prepared. That's why they can have and suffer those type of injuries to key football players and sustain. You go back, you mentioned Christian and Terrell and Anthony and all that year. There was the outside linebackers that went down. Guys like Jamie Mosley and others stepped in and filled that role. And then they called the defenses to kind of help aid that too and protect those guys because you figure that inside linebackers team was going to attack true freshmen, but Nick Saban was smart enough to know how to protect those inside linebackers. And they got guys back, and they ended up winning the national championship that year when they had the most devastating injuries at those key positions. So if anybody can overcome adversity and injuries, Alabama's proven to be that team that can get it done.
Corey, last question, and then you can tell us about your new ministry. Are you surprised that Clemson's been able to, and I'll take your Gamecock hat off now, that they've been able to keep it at that level this long now? It doesn't look like I don't see anything slowing them down right now. Are you surprised a little bit about what they've done?
Not really. I think Dabo Swinney is a coach that gets it. I was talking to someone the other night here. Clemson has been always a good football program, and they've had great skill players throughout the history up there. But what they were lacking, I thought, was in the trenches. The offensive line was just okay. The defensive front was just okay. And Dabo took that page out of the SEC book and started going recruiting these big-time defensive linemen, and especially the defensive line, more so the offensive line. And they became a dominating football program. Of course, he's got the trigger man over the years. You go back, to the Taj boys, the quarterback broke records up there, Deshaun Watson. Now you got Trevor Lawrence. So you got these big-time quarterbacks with great defenses, and that equals championships. Now, I'm a realist, and this has nothing to do with the Gamecock hat, but the real story is, Barry, when you got a conference like the ACC. I know people are always trying to tweak the SEC, rightfully so. The bottom half is not that great, but over the years, ACC has always been not a good football league to me. When Florida State's down, Miami's down, Virginia Tech is down. Clemson has nobody. The second best team in the ACC is Syracuse. Are you kidding me? You got to beat a 6-6 Pittsburgh team, even if the top heavy is good. They don't even have that. You got a Pittsburgh team in an ACC last year to even get to the playoffs. So they don't have anything in their way to really slow them down. They're going to be good. They recruit at a high level. Paul is a national brand.
Let me butt in and ask you one question before you get away.
Okay.
Could Dabo Swinney have done what he did at South Carolina?
No.
Could he have done what he did at Clemson at South Carolina?
Absolutely not, because it's more difficult. And you got hit nationally perennial powers. You can say what you want to. Tennessee going to get players. Florida's going to get players. You're going to beat Georgia every year. You're going to have to go in the West, beat A&Ms. You're going to have to sometimes beat the Alabamas. You have to go to at LSU, at Auburn. And they've done those things, but just from a one-game clip. But when you got to do those things over and over, you're going to lose games. When you got to go on the road in those hostile environments, you're going to come up short and lose games. Listen, they're going to Wake Forest. They're going to Duke. They're going to empty Florida State Stadium now. Boston College. Nobody cares about college football there. They care about the Patriots. You Syracuse, Pittsburgh. Georgia Tech's terrible. That's what you got to go up against. That's just been real. So if you're in the SEC, you're not doing that South Carolina. That's why it's a hard job, because you got even if you finish top 15 in recruiting, you got 8 teams in front of you.
That's right.
And the SEC. So that's been the problem at South Carolina, and it's going to be hard for anybody to come in here and do something like that at South Carolina. You just got to, like Spurrier had it going, and he had his opportunities when he got there in 2010, beat Alabama. They're going to get blown out by Cam Newton and Auburn in the SEC championship game. But he had 11-win seasons, finishing top 10 so 3 years. But they always lose to Kentucky or somebody silly, lose a game, and it costs them. So when you're South Carolina, if you can try to get in that mix one in every 5, 6, 7 years, and I think you got a good program going. But no, to answer your question, there's no way Dabo could do this at South Carolina.
Yeah, Spurrier was there at the right time because they had some really good in-state talent. And to his credit, he kept it home and it won. And he had some guys with some tough mentalities there.
Well, and you got Gilmores and Clownies and people like that. Melvin Ingram. You got those types of players.
Lattimore.
Yeah, Lattimore. He had a good run there. Then you could beat a very good, Alabama team. But, when Stephen Garcia kind of plays this, out of his brains once. But, it's just hard to do. I feel sorry for the fans here at South Carolina. It's just they're in a tough place right now. Clemson doing so well. You got to watch that happen. And it's just a tough time here in Columbia for the Gamecock fans. But I'm going to say this real quick, though, Barry. I picked A&M to upset Clemson this week.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Wow, I'll be watching that. All right, Corey, we got about that's amazing there. We got about 1 minute. Tell everybody about your new ministry, what you got going on there.
Yes, Eyes for Christ. I'm actually doing some chapel work here in Columbia, a small college football team, Allen. Doing some work with their basketball team. Actually going to be doing some work with UNCC in Charlotte. We just focused on mentoring athletes and men, because I feel like that's where our country has fallen, leadership with men. Of course, I'm focused on the athletes, trying to build up godly men to be godly men of God, godly husbands, godly fathers, And because a lot of men don't know how to be the spiritual head of their homes. I didn't know that this last year. I had to find out the hard way because I lacked in that area, and I had to go back and take a selfie of my spiritual life, and found out I had a lot of things that weren't right, and I wanted to fix. And God has just challenged me to pour that into men. So that I feel like the enemy is destroying marriages, destroying families, and therefore destroying the seed, which is our kids. And so I'm trying to use football as a platform to be a blessing, to speak into men's husbands, fathers, athletes, whoever, and to just see change in their lives. And that's what I call a giant for Christ. Easy to be a giant in a lot of things, degrees, your money, your house, the things you accomplish in this world that's going to perish. But how about being a giant for the Lord? One that loves his wife, loves his kids, and loves his community, and most importantly, loves the Lord, and try to see how change can come into this world. We live in a tough time, man. People are crazy and mass murders, and what is the church not building but the body of Christ? What are we going to do about it? And it's crossing our family.
Thanks, Corey. We appreciate it very much. Great stuff there, buddy. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Corey.
See you guys.
Thank
Bless
you.
you, man. Thank you.
There's Corey.